Video course on the history of Western fashion, Lecture 62, Introduction to Literature in the History of American Fashion, Part 3. What did enslaved people wear in 18th century America? Evidence from 1,000 runaway slave advertisements. This photo is Mount Vernon Plantation, reconstruction of the slave quarter. Photo by Masako Hamada, President, Society for the Social History of American Fashion. Masako Hamada. I visited plantations in Virginia in search of artifacts of clothing worn by slaves in 18th century Virginia. However, I was unable to find a single piece of such clothing. In this video, I will therefore introduce the production tools and primary sources I discovered during my research that shed light on the daily lives of slaves. Highlights: Discovery 1. Products and Tools of Production. Chapter 4, Section 2, Research on Physical Materials. The card attached to this quiz lists its dimensions as 19 by 80 inches. The fabrics are skillful combination of various stripes, braids, and prints, with colors ranging from indigo to shades of reddish brown. The history of the donors, Dr. and Mrs. Eminent Terrell, suggests that enslaved bearers at Beaver Dam Plantation in Hanover County may have produced some of the fabrics used in this quilt, and that enslaved seamstresses may also have participated in its creation. Here is a close-up. Below, we present artifacts excavated from Paris Plantation. The photograph shows a pair of scissors. According to curator Kerry Rath, it is unclear who used them. Part of the handle is missing. They measure 8.7 centimeters in length. The photograph shows a large and a small finger ring excavated from a slave quarters on the same plantation. The former has a diameter of 1.4 centimeters, while the latter measures 1.1 centimeters in diameter. According to K. Both were used by slaves. As we can see from the photograph, the rings are exquisitely crafted. The delicate holes on their surfaces and the strikingly beautiful shapes, which reveal a keen sense of design, are truly remarkable. The photograph shows needles excavated from the plantation. 4 were randomly selected from a large number of bronze needles unearthed there. These are also believed to have been used by slaves. Archaeological finds such scissors, pins, and symbols from Paris plantation in Williamsburg provide evidence that clothing was produced in the slave quarters by slave artisans. The cover of this book features a photograph of a patchwork quilt I mentioned earlier. This book is my doctoral dissertation. It was published by Tokyo Publishing in 2002. In this video, I will introduce a portion of the book. 18th century America during the Revolutionary War. What did the black slaves on the plantation sanctuary wear? Reflecting both the light and shadow of fashion history, this book opens new doors for research. From the book jacket. Highlights. Finding 2. Description of clothing in runaway slaves notices. Chapter 2, Section 1, The historical value of clothing depictions. Historical documents on runaway slave posters. L.A. Windley composed Runaway Slave Advertisement, a documentary history from 1730 to 1790, Volume 1, Greenwood, Westport, Connecticut, 1983. £3 rewards. Runaway from the subscriber on the 1st of January, a middling dark mulatto named Stefan, but 21 years of age and thick-made, had on, when he went off, a Negro-made shoes with pegged rope in the soles. His hair is cut off the top of his head, but little remained at the sides. He carried with him a white mulatto woman, a slave named Phoebe, whose hair is long, bright, and beige. She had on a blue waistcoat and petticoat, and took with her 2 new old-neighborhood shirts and a suit of striped Virginia cloth. She is about 21 years of age. They also carried off 2 old-neighborhood shirts, 6 or 7 ells of rolls, a new dirty blanket, and one about half worn. It is imagined they will make for Carolina and endeavor to pass for free people. All persons are forewarned from harboring them and the peril. Whoever brings them to me or procures them in any goal so that I may get them again shall have the above reward. Henry Hathaway. The number of runaway slaves advertisements and clothing descriptions in the Virginia Gazette, 1766-1789. Number of runaway slave advertisements, 1069. We investigated over 1,000 runaway slave advertisements. Number of clothing listings, 545. Listings advertisement, 51%. The purpose of the advertisement, it is not to rescue fugitives. The economic purpose of the plantation, namely the return of labor. Basis for the depiction of clothing in the advertisement, plantation clothing, insurance ledger, a highly reliable historical source. Highlights. Finding 3. Actual clothing habits. Chapter 3, Section 2. The actual clothing practices of male fugitive slaves. Covered period from 1767 to 1770, before the American Revolutionary War. From 1776 to 1779, Thomas Paine's Common Sense, Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence. Participant A. When information regarding the wearing of the garment is provided. B. When information regarding the carrying of the garment is provided. C. When garment information is incomplete. Case Study A. Virginia Gazette, Dixon and Hunter, January 21, 1775. Runaway from the subscriber on the 1st of January, a middling-dark mulatto named Stephen, but 21 years of age and thick-made, had on, when he went off, a Negro cotton waistcoat and breeches, an audible shirt, and Negro-made shoes. This example includes the phrases "had on" and "when he went off," which are used to describe clothing that was being worn. Other expressions include "he wore" and "his clothes were." Case Study B. Virginia Gazette, Purdy and Dixon, March 22, 1770. Runaway from the subscriber's plantation in Chesterfield County in July last, a Negro man named Sterling. He carried with him 2 cotton waistcoats, 2 audible shirts, 2 pairs of breeches, 1 of Negro cotton, and so on. The example includes the phrase "carried with him 2 cotton waistcoats," which is a way of describing the act of carrying clothing. Case Study 3. Virginia Gazette, Dixon and Hunter, April 24, 1778. Runaway from Mr. Donald's plantation in Prince Edward, 2 Negro fellows, George and Harry. George is about 35 years old, stout-made and stooped a little. He had on a light-colored cloth jacket and a great coat made of a duffel blanket. There is no mention of pants in George's clothing description. It is unlikely that he fled naked. Based on the above, our policy is to include runaway slaves who fall under cases B and C from the study sample. Number of male runaway slaves for whom clothing details are recorded. A. Number of male runaway slaves with information on clothing carried. B. Number of male runaway slaves with unclear clothing information. C. number of male runaway slaves recorded as had their clothes on A-B-C. The sample size is 149. In Chapter 3, we conducted a quantitative analysis of clothing descriptions in runaway slave advertisements. In Section 1, we examined the characteristics of the types of clothing worn by slaves, summarized changes in their working conditions and social class distinctions, and identified the clothing that signified their respective status. We also examined chronological changes in the materials used for slave clothing. In Section 2, we examined the actual clothing worn by male slaves at the time of the escape, based on an analysis of 149 cases. Approximately 50% of individuals are believed to have been wearing only an upper garment and lower garment. Furthermore, the runaway slaves wearing two or fewer upper garments at the time of their escape accounted for 80% of the total. Regarding lower garments, it was found that the ratio of breeches to trousers was 3:1. Based on quantitative data from runaway slave advertisements and descriptions of clothing, the attire of male runaway slaves were classified into 8 types and illustrated. Basic attire of male slaves as seen in runaway slave advertisements: outwear, coat, waistcoat, jacket, shirt, bottom wear, breeches, trousers. Attachment: head coverings, hat, cap, stockings, hose, shoes, boots, samples. Clothes worn by fugitive slaves: harry, coat, waistcoat, trousers, will, shirt, jacket, breeches. 8 types of attire worn by fugitive slaves. Group A. Eight types of attire worn by fugitive slaves. Group B. Clothing combination for male fugitive slaves: outerwear, bottom wear, attachment, stocking, shoes. White part is not wearing. Chapter 2, an episode from my research. Did my research on slave clothing in Virginia go smoothly? Thanks to the generous support of many librarians and researchers, it did. One of them was Miss Margaret Cook at the same library of the College of William and Mary. Whenever new materials on slave clothing were discovered, she immediately arranged for me to examine them. I would visit the library, complete the required procedures, and carefully study rare documents such as 18th century slave registers and planters' diaries. The excitement of handling these original sources, something I still remember today. Many of the primary documents I found there became important evidence for this book. Miss Cook was not alone. More than 20 people in Virginia supported my research, and the kindness made the study possible. Chapter 3 Conclusion Image Collection. This study is of great significance in that it reconstructs slave attire not merely as a conceptual image, but based on historical sources. By utilizing primary sources such as runaway slave notices, the actual types of clothing, materials, and ways of wearing them have been concretely elucidated. Furthermore, the study demonstrated that clothing was not merely a daily necessity, but an important element that reflected the social hierarchy and structure of the slave population. By shedding light on the shadows of the history of clothing, our understanding of history becomes more multidimensional. The most important lesson these 242 pages teach us is that clothing is not merely a fashion trend, but a reflection of the spirit of the times. Once you adopt this perspective, the way you see clothing will surely change starting tomorrow. What did you think of this post? Please let us know in the comments section. We'll see you next time with an even more in this topic. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Preview of the next episode: The Founding and Closing of the New England Colony, a video course on the history of Western fashion. Lecture 63, History of American Fashion, English version 2. In this course, I would like to talk about the aspects of clothing life during the American colonial era, focusing on the New England colonies.